Hello, everyone. Hope you're doing well. The past couple of videos, we've been working with data sets and summarizing data and working with data. So, in this lesson, I wanted to go over how to visualize data in graphs. Um, and I wanted to introduce the function of ggplot, which allows us to make a bunch of different graphs in R. ggplot comes from the um, tidyverse package is one of the packages in it, so you don't need to download another package. And yeah, it's a very versatile function, and I'm excited to show it to you guys. So I'm going to start a new um, script file, and the data that I'm going to use is one of the data sets we've already used in the data to summarize um, uh, files. It's the body measurement files, and it's a pretty useful one for this because it has different types of numerical and categorical data. So, like always, we're just going to start by including the um, tidyverse package and load it up. Yes, first I'll save this. And then we're going to do the same thing, reading in data, and we'll um, just name our data VM for body measurements, read underscore CSV to read it in. And we'll do data, oops, data to and there you go. Okay, so what I just did was I forgot you could do this. So when you're getting a file from um, like a folder and you're trying to read it in, once you write the folder name and do this backslash, R kind of is already looking in that folder. And if you press tab, it will automatically fill in a file. I think it'll probably just go like alphabetical order. It'll fill in the name. And if you I'm not exactly sure, but I'm sure you can like keep on pressing tab until you get to the file that you want. But since this one was the first one that popped up, I think it's the only one in there. We didn't have to do that. So we'll just run it. So now we have the body measurement file, data table loaded up into R. So now we could start. Now I can start showing you the different ways that we can graph data using ggplot from this data set. So I'll change this to graphing with ggplot. Okay, so the let's the first step for graphing with ggplot is always going to be the same. You're going to be calling in ggplot and wait, maybe ggplot. No, it should be good. Okay, for some reason I thought so. There is like a function. I mean, there's a data table. Oh, sorry, there's a package called ggplot 2. I don't know if it's a more updated version, but I believe it's all should be on the tidyverse. So the format is ggplot. Sorry, ggplot, and then we do data is equal to, and the data equal to is just gonna say which like storage object we're gonna be making our plot from. So we'll do bm. And then the way that we like add things to ggplot and like continue the function is by doing this plus symbol. And the a way to think about ggplot is that you're adding layers of information on it, one by one. So and you have to link them together by these plus signs. So the first thing is just saying we're getting it from making a plot from this data set. The next thing we need to add is the um, type of uh, type of plot that we're making, and the way that we say that is using uh, the geom argument, and the geom argument basically allows us to plot different like geometric objects, which are basically the types of graphs that we're going to be making. So like you have a geom plot point if you want to make a scatter plot. You have a geom box plot if you want to make a box plot, a histogram for histogram, and they have a lot of types of plots. So you could do tiles if you want to make heat maps. You could do geom bar for bar graphs. There's so many things. There is not a geom pie graph though, because I guess the people who made this thinks pie charts are very bad ways of showing data. So they will not be ever a geom pie. You'll have to use like another function to do that. So let's just start out with pretty simple graph. We'll just do like a histogram. Histogram just measures the you have like an x-axis, which is the variable that you care about, and then the different like measurements of the x-axis is like the frequency of it. So let's say you want to make like a graph that shows like all of the test scores for a single test in a class. So multiple people are going to have the same test score. So what you do is on the x-axis, you have all the numbers, and on the y-axis is the count of each instance of that. So you have, let's say 5 people got 97, the bar is going to be 5 units high. So that's like a thing you'd use a histogram for. So we'll do geom histogram. And then we'll do, the next thing we have to do is include the aesthetic. And the aesthetic is it is the like most, I guess, one of the more basic levels of the ggplot, and it allows you to specify how the variables of interest that you care about are going to be visualized in the graph. So you choose like what your axis of what's in the x-axis, what's in the y-axis with aesthetics, but you can also choose how they're presented, like the color, shape, all these things. So let's just do for our example, we'll do x is equal to ankle diameter. And then you can run it. However, for some reason, I'm worried that this is not going to work because I need to load in ggplot. Okay, yeah, so I guess I need to include ggplot, even though it's technically in the tidyverse. So let's just do ggplot2. So you're going to have to download ggplot2. Run that. Oh, did I not run tidyverse? That could have been it. That I did. All right, so now this should work. So It's not. Let's see. Data equals. Probably missing a parentheses or something. Oh, the name is wrong. Okay, there we go. So once you run that, you're gonna get if you just run it without assigning it to a storage object, like you can store your graph, you're just gonna get a plot in the plot viewer, and you can see here the bottom is the ankle diameter, and the y is count. We didn't have to assign y, and this just shows that how many observations of each length ankle diameter, sorry, that we're seeing in this data set. And let's say, so you see here, it says bins. So for this is specific for histogram. So bins is referring to like these like rectangles, and like um these bins are kind of like uh they'll include like certain like a range of values depending on um depending on like how many bins you tell R to use or the width of the bin. So we can change that through the bin width argument. So I'll just add like another comment here. So Instagram examples. So now we could let's say just copy and paste to see like what we've changed and how it changes. So we'll include the bin width argument. So bin width equal to, let's change it to 3 and see how that changes the data set or the presentation of it. So you can see how making the bin width smaller um, or what default is. I'm not sure what the default is, but we can check. So if we make it a 3, it gets very wide and you don't really have much differentiation. But let's say you made it into a 10, I believe, or make it 1. So it got smaller, and then if you make it even smaller, you could get to probably where we were when we just did the defaults. Okay, so also what we could do is we could also change the bins, and changing the bins will also affect how this appears. So you can see here how that drastically changed how the data is viewed. So you kind of want to make sure that the way you map or you choose these bin widths are going to make your data like it's not going to mislead what your data looks like in any way. So that's really it for histograms. Let's try scatter plots. So for scatter plots, um, you need this is going to be kind of like a normal like graph that you are probably used to using and making, where you have an x-axis and a y-axis, or you have a like an x variable, y variable that you choose, and you try to see the relationship between the two. So the the geom you use for a scatter plot is geom point. And let's say we want to see the relationship between um, chest girth and thigh girth. Okay. And we'll just do um, the default settings. So you can see this nice scatter plot, but it's pretty plain. You're using all the default values, and it plotted where you put y, what variable you put in the y-axis, you put on the is shown here on the y, and then what you did for x is on the x-axis. Now we could I want to make this distinction between something called setting values or setting options and mapping them. So let's say, okay, for an example, let's say here you just have these, you see these data points, but it doesn't really tell you much about these data points other than these two variables. But let's say you want to see how these relationships between chest girth and thigh girth differed between, let's say, sex. So what you would do is you could add another dimension to this, and we could add color. So let's do color is equal to gender. So now, because that I believe is how it was coded in this data set, but now you'll have different colors. The point will have a unique color depending on what the participant's gender was coded as in the data set. And so you'll see this kind of just assign this like teal and salmon colors. And it alongside included a legend that tells you what each color refers to. So you could see here that there's a slightly different relationship in chest girth and thigh girth. For females and males, it kind of looks a little more steep, but there's statistical tests to actually prove this one way or the other. So that would be this would be sorry, this would be mapping a color onto a variable, in this case, gender. However, let's say you didn't want to do that and um, you just wanted to change the color of the data points, but you didn't want to have them be different depending on a third variable. So you would just put this color symbol outside of the parentheses. It's still in this geom point, but it's not within the aesthetics like parentheses. And you just do a comma. And now you wouldn't do a variable, you do a color that you want. And I'll include a link or the actual file that gives you the actual names or the coded names you would use for all the different colors that are available in ggplot. But let's just do something simple like oops, green or green. And it's nice that our studios automatically will show you the color that you're going to be coding. So this is called, since we put it outside of the aesthetics, it's going to be putting that color onto every single point. And the that this is called it's called setting the color. So setting color to all points. Okay, so that these are like the pretty um these like the way that we're doing this now and formatting these ggplots is a good way to look at these plots and your data when you're kind of just like figuring out what your data looks like, the distribution of your data, maybe some like crude level relationships between variables that you're interested in. However, this isn't really like a nice looking graph. Like, um, you'd want there to be more like kind of like a it to be a little more polished if you're going to put it in a paper. So, um, fortunately, um, fortunately, ggplot allows us to have a lot of control and customizability over almost every aspect of a graph. Um, so one another specific um, thing we can include to the graph is are called scales, and a scale is like a customizable detail that is related to the specific like data that we have, and it allows us to change like the names of the axis or legend. It allows us to set like you see like these tick marks. We could change those. And as well as the limits, like what is shown here, what's shown here. Um, and so we can, let's say we wanted to have more control over let's go back to this example. Let's say we want to have more control over the color that was used. So we'll do um, we'll add a scale, and then we're going to do scale color because that's what and you'll see like if you just did like scale and then tab or yeah, scale underscore tab, you could see all of the different options and things that we have control over in ggplot. So it's kind of like dependent on what you're working on, but this is just for like a normal scatter plot. So let's say we wanted we'll do color manual, and we're like manually changing the colors. So we'll set the values. The way you write this is values are equal to, and then you're gonna make a fact a vector, and you're going to set let's say we'll set female equal to, let me just make sure that that's how the value, yeah, it's uppercase. Okay, so female, let's say, is equal to dark green, and male, the value male will be set to turquoise. And then let's say, okay, so let's just do that for now. So we were able to change the colors directly. Now let's see, let's change the um, x-axis, how it's formatted, we could do scale, and we can change the x, and it's a continuous variable. So we'll do the limits. Let's do the limits first, which are the like how I guess the numbers that you want to see on either end of the x-axis. So let's set the limits equal to the 80, 10. Then we'll set the breaks, which are like the amount, like how often these tick marks are. And we're actually going to state the, it's going to be like a sequence. That's how we're going to be formatting it as. So we're saying it's starting from 80, going to 110, and we'll do it by each tick is going to be 5 different. It's going to be separated by 5 values. So let's see. Um, I got that. Okay, so um, so we're able to change the x-axis. Now, because we changed the axis, there might have been values that were like outside of our range, and it told us that in this warning message, like 59 observations had like chest measurements of chest girth beyond these numbers, so we lost them. But you'd have to be more careful about that if you actually wanted them to be in your graph. So we can also change the legends in using a scale. There are many ways to change it, but I'll just do scale for now because um, that's what is we're working on now. So we could change the name from scale, color, manual, and we could change it from so the way we change the name of this legend is name is equal to gender instead of being lowercase. And also, let's say we wanted to um, move the let's say we wanted to move the um, legend from here to, let's say, the bottom. We could do that using um, the next type of like argument we can include in ggplot, which are themes. And themes are themes deal with non-data related things. So like kind of like the background of this color, this background color, or the lines that you see here, or like the labels that we could put on top or anywhere inside the graph. So we could do that by doing theme, and then we could do legend dot position, and we could change it to bottom, and now we'll move it to the bottom of the graph. Mm, might have overloaded it with too many things. How about we, instead of doing scale, color, manual for the name, let's just do a labs argument. Labs just means labels. So we could say color is equal to gender, because that's like what's been presented in the, yeah, here we go. So this changed the name of the variable. In the labs, we can also change the names of the axes. So we can do uh, so So we can do we can include the x-axis. So let's just change it to x is equal to, just to make it more presentable, chest girth. Y is equal to thigh girth, and let's do title is equal to uh, let's do um, relationship between chest and let's see what happens. So now you can see that we're able to add a title to the top bottom and change the axis titles or labels for each. You can also change the size of these numbers, and I'm going to include a document that kind of goes over how to change each thing. One last thing that I would want to go over is how to change this background or use themes. So themes are kind of like the most wide ranging thing you can add on. So what you usually want to do is, I believe you want to put it, so you want to order your code in a way that doesn't like, so let's say theme affects everything, um, every part of like the graph. If you put it last, everything that you have done prior to that is going to be overridden by themes. So what you want to do is you want to put it first and then kind of like change things piece by piece. So I'm going to, let's say you wanted this background to be just white, you don't like that like gray background, you could do theme black and white, and add this. So change that, see how what happens. Okay, good. So it got rid of that weird gray color. It added some of these this like outline to the graph. And there's also a bunch of other themes that you can use in ggplot. There's, if you go to the GG themes, if you download the GG themes package, library, you would have to do the install packages, but there's GG themes, and it has a lot of different themes that you can use that kind of borrows things um, from other platforms that have their own like set themes. So like I don't know if you guys use if you guys have seen graphs in like The Economist, so you can do that. This one might overwrite everything, so we'll see what happens. Okay, no, you still have the same color. So yeah, kind of looks a little off, but like it just gives you more options and more control over like the types of themes you can use. And then I did say I would include the I could just include the file. There's a file that goes through all the colors that you can use. But yeah, that's really it for a ggplot. There's a lot of things I did not go over, but this is kind of just a general framework that you can use. I basically wanted to just show you that there's so much control that you have over ggplot, and that there are a lot of different types of plots that you can use that we didn't go over. Another one they might want to check out is boxplot, and that will be, I think, included in the notes that I send. But I'll also try to see if there's other ways. Oh, actually, there is one more thing that I wanted to show in this video. There is a there's another um, package called Patchwork, and that allows you to present graphs next to each other. There's other ways to do that using like this argument called faceting in ggplot, which allows you to like make different graphs based on different on like a third variable. So let's say instead of this being colors, I could just do this really quick. Let me just check faceting. Okay, so um, let me just do something really quick. So I'll just pause this so I can save you guys some time. Okay, I'm back. I just wanted to make a new variable so that I could show you an example of using the facet uh, option for ggplot. And this facet option basically allows you to make like a grid of graphs based on the levels of different categorical variables. So let's say you wanted to see how a certain relationship between two variables, let's say like amount hours of sleep and blood pressure, differs, how those graphs differs between men and women or people of different races. So I'm going to just show a quick example of how to use facet grid. So you really just, I don't want to use too crazy a graph, but what we're going to do, I'll just take this one. And what you're going to do, so I'm going to be seeing how this relationship between these two variables, thigh girth and chest girth, differs amongst when it's in a grid of um, different of male and females and of a categorical variable that I made of age, which is here. So how you're going to do that is we're just going to add another, we're just going to add the facet grid argument. And you're going to do, I believe it's so whatever you put on first is going to be like the rows, and then we put second is going to be the columns. So and age cat. So see that it makes a grid of of different cells that fulfill the like certain values that are given. So for female and 25 and younger, you have this block. If they're female, 26 to 25, then this block. Older than 45 is this block. You're still mapping the same variables. It's just you've kind of like divided them into different groups, and that's just to see how different variables interact with one another and statistically. And this kind of gives you just a very like crude and quick way to see how the relationship may change based on these variables that you grid by or facet by. So the last one I want to show is by using another package called Patchwork, and this allows you to I don't know if I ran this already, but it allows you to put graphs next to each other in ways that are that aren't really related to each other, but like if they're not using the same data, but you want it kind of like shows a similar trend, you can just use the patchwork patchwork package, and I'll show you how to do that. I'm just going to copy and paste to save some time. So let's say you have a let's say you have a scatter plot that which is what we've been doing, chest girth and thigh girth, and then you had a bar graph, except this is not gonna. Let's just do y is equal to. So this could be real. This was just an example for my notes, but do I'm kind of making this on the fly, so let's see what I can do. Let's do height. These aren't going to be really related to each other, but you would use it in an example that could have this like similar data. Okay, so now I made it. I made two. What I did here was I made two storage objects of ggplots, and if I called them, if I just like wrote like scatter or bar example and ran it, it'll be like as if I ran this whole ggplot, and it's saying that's not good. So let's say I did write a proper bar chart. What we would have is then we would be able to actually present them side by side. So if we did this scatter plot and bar example, they would appear in like this plot view, one next to each other. Then if we did with this like backslash, it puts the scatter plot on top of the bar chart. And you can group multiple together. So let's say you wanted like two on top and one on the bottom. You could do like in parentheses, you do scatter example plus scatter example 2, and then these two would appear on top. But this is not working at the moment. I'll try to make a plot in the actual I'll try to like play with the code so that this will work, but that should be it for now. This is a long video. I hope you're able to gain something from it. But I'll be sending up plenty of like supplementary files and documents alongside this, so you'll have a better understanding. And just from my own experience, whenever I need to make these plots, I kind of go back to my notes to see how I can specifically control a certain thing. And if I don't know, I just Google it. As long as you kind of understand the concept of ggplot and how like the layering of it works. It's a very like iterative process. It's like trial and error of what works. And there's a lot of different ways to get to the graph that you want. So thank you for watching this video, and I hope you guys have a good day. Thank you.